אוקיי. והרים עיניי על תלמידיי ואומר תביוכין מסכנה דליוכין היא מלכותא דאלוה.
And he lifted up his eyes to his disciples and said, "Blessed are you who are poor, because yours is the kingdom of Elohim."
תביוכין אילין דכפינין השא דסבעון תביוכין לדווחין הסא דתגחון.
Blessed are you who are now hungry, because you will be satisfied.
תביוכין מדסנין לכון בנישה מפריסין לחון מחסדין לכיוון ומפיקין שמכוון הכבישה חלף ברודיאנשה.
Blessed are you when the sons of men hate you. I'm going to say that again. Blessed are you when the sons of men hate you and separate you and revile you and cast out your name as evil for the sake of the Son of Man.
חדו בהו יומא ודוצו דאגרכון סגי בשמיא הכנה גיר עבדין הבו אבותיהן לנביא.
In that day rejoice and leap for joy, for your treasure is great in heaven, for likewise their fathers had done to the prophets.
נביא is a prophet.
Yeah.
ברם וי לכון עתירא דקבלון בויכון.
But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your comfort.
ויה לכון סבעה דחופנון ויה לכון לדכככין השא דתבחון ותבלון.
Woe to you who are satisfied, because you will hunger.
וי לכון כד נהבון אמרין אליקון בני אנשא דשפיר הכנה גיר עבדין הבו לנביא דגלותא אבותהון.
And woe to you, those who are now laughing, because you will weep and you will mourn. Woe to you while the sons of men speak good things about you, for likewise had done their false fathers to the prophets.
לכון דין אמר ענה דשמעין אחבו להבלכון ועבדו דשפיר לעילין דסניונון לכון.
But to you I say, to those who hear, love your enemies and do good things to those who hate you.
וברכו לעילין דלתין לכון וצלו על עילין דדברין לכו בקטירה.
And bless those who curse you, and pray for those who take you with violence.
ולדמך לך על פחך קרב לאחרינה ומין מן דשקל מרטטוך לה תכלה אף כוונותך.
Ha 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 ha.
That's why I can read, you know that.
And to him who strikes you on your cheek, offer the other to him. And from him who takes your cloak, do not keep back also your cloak.
לכל דשאל לך הב לו ומן מן דשקל דליך לא תתבע.
From everyone who asks, you give to him, and from him who takes your property, do not demand your property back. Which, by the way, that's all Torah.
It's all Torah.
It's all Torah. Everything that he just said is straight out of the Torah.
ואיקנה דצבין אנטון דעבון לחנון בני אנושה הך להון אף אנטון.
And as you desire to do to you, you also do likewise to the sons of men.
אנגיר מכוון אנטון לאלין דמכוון לחנון תבחון אף גיר חתיה לאילה דמכוון להון רחמין.
For if you love those who love you, what is your blessing? For even sinners love those who love them.
ואין עבדין אנטון דטוב לאלין דמתבין לכוון עדה אף חתיה גיר הכנה עבדין.
And if you do good to those who do good to you, what is your blessing? For even sinners do likewise. I already read that. And if you lend to whom you expect to be repaid from, where is your blessing? Even sinners lend to sinners that they might likewise be repaid.
ואין מוזפין אנטון למד הסברין אנטון דתפרעון מן העדה תבדיחון אף חתיה גיר לחתיה מוזפון ונתפרעון.
But love your enemies and do good to them, and lend and do not cut off the hope of man, and great will be your reward. And you will be the sons of the Most High, because he is pleasant to the evil and the cruel. Wow, so powerful.
ברם אחבו לבעלביכן, ותבו להון, ולא תפסקון סברה דאנש, ונאבה סגי, ותהבון בנו הדרמה, והוא בסום, הוא על בישי ועל כפוע.
Therefore be merciful as your father is also merciful. You want to keep going because, was that it? 37.
הבו אכיל מרחמנה הכינה דאנה וחול מרחמנה הוא.
Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Release and you will be released.
הבו מתיב לחום בחיליתה, תבתה ורקעיתה ומשפטה, נרמון באביוכן והיא גיר קיליתה, דמחלין אנטון מטובין לחבון.
Give and it will be given to you in good measure and pressed down and abundant it will pour into your robe in that measure. For the measure with which you measure, it will be measured to you. Someone please get the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket and pass it around. Isn't that what happens after that scripture's read? Right? That's the program in my head. I know what's coming next. Pass the plate, sister. Yeah, your debt will be paid off if you give, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Anyway, how sad. What was he talking about? What was he saying giving to? What's the content here? Huh? It's all of it. Mercy, the other cheek, the cloak, the loving of those that don't love you. In the measure in which you don't judge, right? So if you judge, you'll be judged in the same measure. Look. He says, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Release and you'll be released. Give and it will be given to you. None of that was money. Well, actually, no, there's one part about lending, but it's mercy. It's love, right? Not judgment, but mercy. And loving who? The ones we don't want to. But it's so interesting how that one passage, how many of you, as soon as you hear that, give and it will be given to you, right away you hear pass the plate? Right? How come we don't hear love your enemies? Or do not judge? Or do not condemn? How come that passage is not synonymous? Because it's a great presentation for an offering, that's why. And isn't this interesting? Yeshua did not take an offering with this. And by the way, I don't know about your Bible, but mine goes like this. It just has, verse 20 right there. There is no title, subhead that says the Sermon on the Mount. Did it say here there was a Sermon on the Mount? Nope. Doesn't say the Sermon on the Mount. But it's what's been branded in our heads. Does it say Beatitudes? No. Did we read anything that said the Beatitudes? I didn't either.
Where did that come from there?
Isn't it funny that we remember Beatitudes, but we don't remember what they are? We remember the word Sermon on the Mount, but we don't know what that message was. He's just talking. He's a rabbi teaching Torah in a field, with what? The Sea of Galilee as our backdrop. There's not a worship band. There's not a praise hymns book. Do you understand? Like again, we're just stripping it down to naked. It's a random dude who walked 25 miles to come over here from Nazareth. Wow, check it guys, low flying. Gosh, this makes me think of the 67th War and the quality of the planes that were donated and the guys that were flying them and hadn't flown in forever. And God delivered them all. It's like amazing.
On our ride tomorrow, back to the center, we'll tell you some crazy stories about these miracles.
Modern day miracles. Modern day miracles.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. I got a little distracted with the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket. I got a story to tell you guys. It's such an awesome story. I gotta tell you this. I'll tell you after. Remind me the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket, okay? Don't let me forget it.
As we're reading it in Aramaic, guys, what language do you think Jesus delivered the sermon in?
Aramaic or Hebrew?
Aramaic.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because
Language of the time.
that was the language that people understood. That was the day-to-day common language. So I guess that he was saying some of the sentences, maybe the Psalms one in Hebrew. Ashrei ha'ish, blessed are the man. But the conversation, the speech, when you go like a rabbi today goes up and speaks in synagogue, he speaks in English combined with Hebrew verses.
Yep.
That was him speaking in Aramaic with Hebrew verses.
It's so beautiful. Okay, here we go. So for the measure with which you measure, it'll be measured to you. Verse 39.
ואמרו להון מצלה למה משך הסמיה לסמיה למדברו לתרהין בגום הנפלים.
And he was speaking a parable to them. Why are the blind not able to lead the blind? Both of them would fall into a ditch.
לתלמידה דיאטר מן רבה קלונוש גיר דגמיר נהבה איך רבה.
What is that word in Aramaic?
Disciple? תלמידה. Talmid, which is a student. Disciple is talmid, talmida.
There's no student that is greater than his master, for everyone who is perfect should be as his master.
מנה דין חזה ענד גלה, דבעיינה דאחו קריתה דין דבעייך למד חזילך.
And why do you see the straw that is in the eye of your brother, but the beam that is in your eye is not seen by you?
או, אקינה משכח, אנט למאימר לאחוך, אחי שבוק אפק גלה מן עיניך, דהה קריתה דבעינייך, דליך למתחזי לך נסע באפה, אפק לוקדום קריתה מן עינך, והי דנתחזה לך למפקו, גלה מן עינה דאחוך.
Is it verse 42? Thank you.
40, I just read 42, yes.
Okay. Or how are you able to say, to your brother, my brother, allow me to take the straw out from your eye, for behold, the beam that is in your eye is not seen by you, hypocrite. First take out the beam from your eye, and then you will be able to see and take out the straw from the eye of your brother.
לאית אילנה טבא דאבר, בישה אפלה אילנה, בישה דאבר, פרטבה.
There is not a good tree. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah.
There is not a good tree which produces bad fruit. There is also no bad tree which produces good fruit.
כל אילנה, אילנה is a tree, גיר מן פרהו אב מתידיה להגיר לקטין מן קובה, תאנה, אף לא מן סניה כתפיני ענבה.
For every tree is known by its fruit. For they do not gather thorns from figs, nor do they gather grapes from thorn bushes.
גברא טבא מן סימייתה, טבעת דפלה ממפה כתבתה, וגברה בישה מן סימה, בישתה דבלבה, מפק בישתה מן תתרי לבה, גיר ממלן, ספותה.
For a good man, the treasures that are in his good heart brings forth good things, and an evil man, the evil treasures that are in his heart brings forth evil things. For the abundance of the heart speak the lips.
מנה קרין אנטון למרי, מרי ומדם דאמר אנא לעבדין אנתון.
What is that word?
My master?
Yeah. In Aramaic.
Mari, which is Mr., like master.
Okay. So why do you call to me, my master, and the thing that I say to you, you do not do? You.
דמה לגברא דבנה ביתה וחפר ועמוק ושם שתסה על שבוע כד הנדנין איתה מילה בביתה הוא ולא אשכח דנזיהו שימה הבת גיר שתסיעו על שוטה.
Every man who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will describe to you what is likened to.
And read the next one, that's what I read.
Yeah. He is likened to a man who built a house and dug and went deep and placed its foundations upon the rock. And when a flood occurred, the flood beat against the house and was not able to shake it, for its foundations were placed on the rock.
והבו דשמע ולא עבד דמא לגברא דבנה ביתה על אפרה. דלא שתעשותא וחד אתרי בנהר הבר שתה, נפל ואוד מפולתא רבא דיבי תהבו.
And he who hears but does not is likened to a man who built his house on soil without a foundation, and when the river beat upon it, it fell at once, and great was the fall of that house. Man. Wow. Wow, do you guys realize? Wow, that's like, I don't know about you, but that's talking directly to me right now. In Isaiah 40, Isaiah Yeshayahu is prophesying about the mountains being made low and the valleys being built up. Do you realize that's actually what happened? It's physically what happened. It's physically what happened. Yep. You go. We were at the city of David, right? What happened? What covered up the city of David? The earth. So the valley was brought up high, and the mountain brought low. Do you understand? When I read it yesterday, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that literally happened." Yep. All over the whole country, right? So how are we? As we dig, we are uncovering the history. As we dig, we're uncovering the truth. Do you understand? Going deeper. Okay, that whole thing that he just said, right? The man who does not dig to the bedrock. Did you miss it? Mm-hmm. Did you just hear me like you heard every Sunday? Were you freaking sleeping?
It is Sunday, you know, so.
You don't hear me on a Sunday.
No, and you're not on a Sunday, a regular, typical Sunday, on the mountain of the Beatitudes. I am, but I don't know about you.
Wow. Where were we? Luke 6?
48.
6:48. Guys, that was such a trip when I was reading it. No, it was actually Friday night. Man, that just trips me out. Like, wow, that literally happened. Yep. All over this entire country it happened. So in our head, we're thinking different. You know what I mean? Like, we're thinking that someone's going to cut a mountain off, and do you know what I mean? But no, like, through time, the valleys got brought up higher and the mountain lower, because as the valley gets higher, the mountain obviously is not as tall.
The top of the mountain arose down to the valley, so.
So now it's like this. It's a little hill instead of a mountain.
Yep.
So 48. So he is likened to a man. Which man? Why do you call to me, my master, and the things I say to you, you do not do? So this is the man he's likening that to. Every man who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will describe to you what he is likened to. So this is the student who listens and follows. Direction. What? Follows? Direction. He is likened to a man who built a house and dug and went deep and placed its foundations upon the rock. So digs until they find the rock. What are we doing here? We are digging through the stuff that's been added and added through years and years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, years of stuff that's been added, you know, and this is how we've gotten to where we're at. We're even like in our churches, again, everyone with the right heart wanting to worship God, but they've all added their little flavor to it, and then that gets passed down generation to generation, and yet it's like far away from the essence of what was done here, right? And he even says in his word in Jeremiah and a couple other places to consider the ancient past, go back to the ancient ways. There's a reason for that. Why? It's the bedrock. It's the rock.
You go back to the foundation.
You go back to the foundations.
Wow, that's the word there.
Yes. And when a flood occurred, the flood beat against that house and was not able to shake it. So awesome. For its foundations were placed upon the rock. And he who hears but does not listen is likened to a man who built his house on soil without a foundation. And when a river beat upon it, it fell at once, and great was the fall of that house. Man, I just feel so blessed that he put on every one of our hearts to come here. Do you know what I mean? He's the one that has drawn you on this, if you will, in parentheses, pilgrimage back to his land. He's our Father, and as our Father, he's drawn us to get underneath the soil that's been added on top of the rock through years. And that's normal, by the way. You know that, right? That's normal that happens. That's natural that happens. Meaning I'm saying just in normal, natural earth, the wind. Do you know what I mean? The wind, the soil gets, cut up. It gets cut, it covers things up. That's what happens through time. So anyway, but those who have, is a truth seeker, someone who's seeking after truth. Come on, look at every place that we've gone, almost every place that we've gone. We have heard a story of how something's been uncovered. We look at the very last place that we just were, right? We uncovered a boat that is 2,000 years old. And why? One random dude that grew up, born and raised here in Galilee, was futzing around and found a nail. He's futzing around, he finds more nails. Futzing around, he finds some more nails. He's like, wait a second, whoa, there's wood. And wait, prior to this random dude finding this nail, what did he say? That he prayed. He prayed. That he knew there was something here and had it in his heart to find, to dig. Okay, where's another place that we've gone that we have a story almost exactly like that? Shiloh. And Shiloh, random dude, brings his family, hoping that he's going to find ancient Shiloh. Where's another place that we went? The city of David. A guy buys a house. You know the guy.
David,
yeah. Okay. Random dude buys a house, says, I think it's right here. And he starts digging. They literally position the house, which is now the gift store. They make, no joke.
Yeah, that was their office, right there. They had to relocate their office to dig underneath to find David's palace, which we've seen.
So what is it? That's Torah. Return back to the ancient ways. Something that God planted in these random people's hearts. Just random.
And the amazing thing, it was a process that
if this was America, these people would be calling themselves prophets. I'm serious. If this was America, if these particular people, the guy who found the boat, the guy who found the Dead Sea Scrolls, the guy who uncovered the city of David, these people would have all of a sudden gotten prophet on their business cards and would, I'm not kidding you.
People have a business card with the word prophet.
Yes! Prophet, prophetess.
I only know Prophet Isaiah, Prophet Jeremiah, modern prophet. They said that after the end of the days of the prophets was given to fools.
Yep.
There's no prophecy today. The prophecy was in the word, in the book.
Sealed.
And even the Dead Sea Scrolls, just discovering the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Same thing, random dude. Was he a Jew?
He was a cousin, he was a descendant of Ishmael, a Bedouin.
Yep.
We discovered it in the right time for the people of Israel. Now we possess most of the scrolls. One of the scrolls that we just read from, Isaiah 40, was found complete. I'll show it to you Wednesday in the Israel Museum. In Isaiah 40, what Danny was just quoting, that the mountains will go down and the valleys will go high up, is also a profound thing which only a prophet could know. What is the ratio in the world between ocean and land? About, right? 70% ocean, 30% land, right?
They didn't know that back then.
They didn't know that. But if you read in Isaiah 40, okay, if you go further to verse 12, it says, "Mi madad b'sho'alo mei yam v'shamayim b'zeret tiken v'chal b'shalish afar haaretz." God measured the waters in hollow of his hand and made it out heavens with a span. Now in Hebrew it says, again, this is Hebrew and English, v'chal b'shalish afar haaretz. The word shalish is ambivalent. It can be a tool, but it also means shalish, shlish, a third, 1/3. 1/3 is the soil of the earth. Only a prophet that has a bigger, before Columbus sailed the world, before they thought the world is flat, Isaiah 2,700 years ago tells us 1/3 is the soil of the earth, 2/3 is the oceans. Only God could tell us that. That's the real prophet. A few verses after he talks about the mountains will go low, the valleys will go high up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So anyway, what a blessing, guys. He's drawing you. I told you are living, you're walking the word right now. You are walking Devarim. You're walking it. You're witnessing it. You're seeing it. You're tasting it. Do you realize that? The wine that you tasted, you were drinking the word. The fish that you just had, you're eating the words. You're standing right now, seeing the same thing that the 5,000 saw. That's like nuts.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And what are we doing? We're digging. We're digging down to the foundations, as far deep as we can get it, to really get to see the essence of who our God is. So again, a random dude comes from Nazareth. He's got tons of referrals because he's producing results. Not because he has a PR firm, not because he's got some slick marketer traveling with him, not because he learned email marketing, copywriting, not because he built a website and drove a lot of traffic buying Facebook ads. Are you hearing me? Because he produced results. The results were the testimonies. Everyone started walking around telling the stories about what they were hearing and what they saw. And because of the testimonials, the referrals spread like crazy and gathered 5,000 people right here where you are standing to hear him give this very harsh message. And no, he did not pass the plate.
He was a non-prophet.
He was a real non-prophet. Who, by the way, hold on a second, you tell me, he goes, he teaches a message, and he's teaching Torah, is what he's teaching, and he's teaching it, wait, to who? I had this revelation 7 years, the first time I came here, at the very first place where we went, blew my mind. No, they weren't, they were Jews. They were Jews, but what kind of Jews were here? What do you not see around here? What do you see? Tell me what you do see. This is farmers, man. This is fishermen and farmers. It was the simple people that he went and he taught. He went and he argued and rebuked the smart ones in the city.
The aristocrats, the sophisticated ones.
But the people he spent time teaching were us simple people. Simple, more casual, not the formal people, but the real simple blue-collar workers is who he spent his time teaching. Isn't that amazing? Simple-minded, simple people, hardworking. They had families, farms, fished, little businesses, small business owners. Who he rebuked were the guys with the nice fancy robes that had all the political connections and all the websites and the marketing and the PR firms and the nice little changing of hands, a few dollars here and there. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So imagine, so we are of the, who, by the way, is there anyone here that's of simple branding like that? Anybody qualify as the kind of people he was teaching? I certainly do. Hello, growing up on welfare, I'm definitely that simple one. Okay, so you come, you hear this message, there's this buzz about what he's doing, and then he doesn't say, pass the plate and give me an offering. Yeshua does not take an offering, but what happens? He feeds them. Not only the bread of life does he feed them, but he also gave them bread and fish. So they got a free meal out of it. As much as they wanted.
And they left plenty.
They left full, back to their places. So different. And yet we've heard this exact little portion of this so-called Beatitudes. We heard this tiny little portion, the press down, shaken together, give now message to take to take. And yet he delivers a message to give. To give, and teaching them to give love to your enemies. To not judge, to not condemn, or you'll be condemned and judged in the same measure in which you're being judged and condemned. Give your other cheek. Give mercy. So there you have it. Isn't that awesome? So if we go produce results, word spreads. Do you understand? Your results spread. Your results turn into referrals. Pretty soon, people start gathering. And if they gather, give. It's exciting.
The
It's pretty
amazing
cool.
thing with Jesus, he wasn't even trying to market himself.
No.
As a matter of fact, the first miracle, he wasn't even ready.
No.
He had to perform. There was a wedding, and there was no Jewish wedding complete without wine, and the wine was running out. And his mother is telling him, do something. And you remember what he tells her?
Woman, it's not my time.
And then still he does it, and he provides, he makes the water, he makes it wine. But-
Which, by the way, I had a revelation about that.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the water and the wine. He was continuing the joy. Because the wine is joy. That's what represents joy, biblically.
Right. And maybe even the multiplication, if you have a little bit of wine, multiplying it, diluting it with water, but it's still concentrated like wine. But he did not try to market himself.
No.
He was just doing the right thing for the right reasons, to help people, to
That's
make
a
a difference.
message.
In the wedding, healing people, casting demons. He wasn't trying to make a name to himself. He was just doing what he thought was right. And he probably became the biggest success in world's history in terms of marketing. 2 billion people
Yeah.
that follow him and get to the God of Abraham and Isaac
And
of Israel,
Jacob.
and Jacob through him.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
that's pretty
profound.
amazing.
That's a message right there.
Danny, just for the Baptist folks, it's clear that the wine was not fermented.
Yes, for all of you Baptist folks, I remember. By the way, this is when I stopped reading commentary. The day I stopped reading commentary is the day that I found someone from Guam sent me a Bible. Yeah, this is like 25 years ago. And it was a great Bible. It was my first one, and it was in the NIV. And oh man, I just love this thing. And I had notes all over it. I spent a lot of time in the commentary, in the bottom, until I came to the place where it says the wine, on this one specifically. The wine that Jesus turned from water to wine was not fermented. It was unfermented grape juice. And I'm like, then how did Lot get so drunk that he slept with his daughter the first night, and so drunk the second night he slept with his second daughter the next night? Yeah, please. And then it just started rolling in my head all the places where it talked about someone getting Noah. How is it that Noah? And it said all through the commentary, every single time you see wine, it's unfermented grape juice. I'm like, then how in the world did Noah get so freaking hammered that he was buck naked in front of his son? Like, I'm so sorry, no matter how much grape juice I drink, I am pretty sure that if I am going to have sexual intercourse with somebody, I'm going to know still who they are. But if I get drunk on real wine, I know for a fact, I have personal experience. Back in my old wonderful ways and days, as a whore that I was, so drunk I cannot remember your name, your hair color, your nothing. And nor do I care. Anyway, because I'm puking the next day. So bottom line is, so sorry, Mr. Baptist, Mrs. Baptist. The wine was wine, and grape juices are two very, very different things. And you know what just happened? I just got unliked by 2,000 people. After, of course, they slaughter me with their fingertips. Something they cannot do with their mouth face-to-face with me, of course not. They don't want to enter a discussion, which brings me to this. We've been talking a lot about how we are about arguing the word. Now listen, there's two types of arguing in my personal opinion. One is in honor. And that's chewing on the word together. That's discussing, it's fleshing a concept out. It's churning, right? So the Bible says that we're supposed to chew on it like a cow chews cud, right? That's to gain the understanding. You throw it up back in your mouth and you keep going, okay? All right, so arguing, when we're talking about that the Jews get together and they argue this, so that's how you study Torah, that's an honor. It's not to prove that your perception is right. It's to say, this is the thought that comes to my mind when I read this. This is what I feel like it's speaking to me. And then you say, well, this is what I feel like it's speaking to me. And it causes you and me to go, huh? And to argue even deeper. No, I think it's this. No, I think it's this. Not to prove yourself right, but to find the truth. To find it. If you walk away from a discussion going, that person is such an idiot, they don't know nothing, that was an arrogant argument. That's an arrogant argument. That's you walking in arrogance. But an argument in humility and an argument in honor is pressing against somebody's perception to dig deeper, to gain more understanding of what they're saying, and you also having the opportunity to say your side, to press deeper in to see even if you believe what you're saying. My husband Hans said something once from the stage that just blew my mind. He says things at home all the time that blow my mind, but he said this from the stage one time and it blew my freaking mind. Actually, I don't think it was from the stage. I think it was at home. Wherever it was, he said it and it was profound. And here's what he said. He said, half the time, I don't even believe what's coming out of my mouth. I was like, oh my gosh. And I said that, I thought, if we all thought about it, it's probably true in us. He just had the humility to say it. Like, he's like, half the time I say stuff that I don't even know that I believe. Just like, I just say it. Like, oh my gosh, it's probably the truth for every single one of us. Because most of us just repeat what we've heard, never allowing ourselves to wonder if it's true. Amen. Questioning why it's there, how it's there, how it really works. But we've just accepted the nursery rhyme story of Noah in the ark with a smile on his face, and all the animals are smiling too. We've just accepted that. So much so that when the movie with Russell Crowe in it came out, the Christians, many of the Christians, millions of them, boycotted that movie. Well, he's getting really excited. He knows he's getting real close to my son is because this makes him so mad. Micah,
Noah is one of my favorite movies.
So when Noah came out, probably the Baptists are like, no, okay? It's written, the movie was written by a Jew, produced by a Jew, directed by a Jew, who actually is an atheist. But can I tell you something about atheist Jews? What's their history? It's the Torah. It's the whole story. How can you be an atheist Jew? Exactly. Don't make no sense at all. Like, so what's your history? Your history is God. Your whole history is God, right? So anyway, back to Noah's story. So when the modern day movie of Noah came out, so many Christians were boycotting it. Even some of our clients were like super vocal about it. And I'm like, God, you look like an idiot. You look like an idiot. You look like the rest of the closed-minded idiots out there. And why? Because, like, okay, that's great. The Bible says that we're going to be known by our judgment. What does it say? We'll be known by our love. You just read it. We'll be known by our love. And yet the Christians love to judge, right? So they're leading with their judgment, not with their love. Great message to the world, guys. Here we are, Christians again, boycotting a movie, a biblical movie. That is somebody's rendition of it. It's somebody's, like when they read it, this is what they got out of it, right? So when I sat through that movie, I was like, oh my gosh, I got so much revelation sitting through that movie. Right. One of which, the deaths, the screaming of the children, the mothers and the fathers as they're drowning. as the waters are coming out. But what do we believe? We just took the nursery rhyme story. We see the cute little picture of Noah's little chubby ark with a giraffe's head out, the elephant's head out, the lion's head out, and everyone's smiling. So the lion is right next to the lamb smiling. The lion is not eating the giraffe. The elephant is happy. Have you ever seen these animals in the wild? They don't smile. They're going to eat you. And then there's Noah. Everyone's happy. And that's what the Christians went into the movie and saw a different reality. And what they showed in that movie was closer to the reality than anything we have ever even imagined. Including, wow, what about the fallen angels who helped to build the ark? Totally possible. Big stone creatures now? Totally possible. I thought, yeah, who helped him build that darn thing? The thing is enormous. Who knows? We were not there. It does not say. It is totally possible. And yet, here we are. Oh, that's not scriptural. Okay, do you know how little it says about Noah's Ark? Is so small. And here's the other part. How many of you would certainly, if you spent that many days shoved in a boat with every animal on the planet, all your friends have just died, could you imagine the smell of the poop? Yours and theirs? Okay, the snakes, all the reptiles, the ugly animals, the pretty animals, clean and unclean alike. And by the way, it wasn't 2 by 2, but if all you do is go by your little Bible school nursery rhyme, it is. No, some of them were by 7s.
Yeah.
Some of them were by 7s. They weren't just 2 by 2. But again, we hold up the nursery rhyme higher than we hold up the Torah.
The Midrash, by the way, tells at one point that Noah was late to feed the lion, and the lion bit him. Lion has an instinct
To eat.
Yeah, and he bit him, and that's why he was, limping.
Limping around. So think about it. You end this entire process of living with a bunch of animals. Your family is complaining, and people are dying all around you. And then all of a sudden, it's silence. The rain stopped, the wind stopped, the waves stopped, and it's silence. After how many days? How many days total that they're on this darn thing? On this boat? Months. Months. And you think for 5 seconds he gets off that boat and he's happy? First thing I do too would plant some grapes and get drunk. Think about the psychological pain, and that movie showed it.
Yep.
That movie showed it, and you got millions of Christians boycotting it, speaking against it, calling the guy a heretic. What have we become? That's not arguing in honor. That's saying, wow, that was totally possible, and it could have gone a million other ways too. There's a reason that all the details are not in the book about it.
That's
But
the beauty
boy,
about the Bible. It's as it is, and it gives you the ability to accept it. That's why it's a relevant book. You read it 30 times, and every time you learn something new. You read a regular novel, you read it once, that's it. You go to the next book. The Bible, every time I read it, I read it so many times, cover to cover. How many times did you read it cover to cover?
I'm on
and
number
every
16.
time you read it, you learn something new, another layer that you didn't think of it. So it's incredible how it's like sort of it's living. It's a
It
living
really
word.
is. It's beautiful.
It is.
Anyway, let's be known by our love. Let's be known by our acceptance. Come on, we just came off the boat with 4 Jewish men playing songs they thought we would want to hear. That is professing Yeshua as the Messiah. Why? To honor their guests as Abraham taught us. To honor the guests, to be hospitable, right? How amazing. How amazing. Would you ever see that in our churches at home? Highly unlikely. If you don't dress right, you're not accepted. If you talk normal, you're not accepted. There's so many rejection points today, and we've completely missed this passage of we'll be known by our love, by our hospitality, our open door policy. Come on in, let me feed you, let me love on you, let me give you a blanket, let me show you kindness and love. Come on, this message that we just read out of here where he's talking about, like what do you have to gain for loving your enemies? There's many Jews. Now think about it. Think about it. Just think about it. We've taken their inheritance, the tithe and the offering. We've stolen it. completely stolen it. We've taken their position. We have said that they are not important anymore, but that now the Christians are the new Jews. That's the replacement theology that's been going around Europe and all over US, all of the West for a very, very long time. More than 1,000 years. Okay? No, 500 years. Forget it. I don't really care. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
16th century. Yeah.
16th century, so
Almost 500 years.
almost 500 years. So here we've said Christians have hated them. We've said they killed our Messiah. That was God's entire plan, the whole plan. And yet we point the finger, we've created division and said we're better than you. And here they're welcoming us with open arms. Let's go home with that. Let's go home with the hospitality of Abraham. Let's go home with the love that Yeshua came and walked out among us, demonstrating what that was. Let's not go to take, but to give. And let's go home to not try to be so concerned about promoting ourselves and just let our results bring the people. If we produce the results, God brings the people, and God produces the results also. So, amazing. Amazing.
I think that one of the main points, if you have to refine the Beatitudes to one simple idea, will be just the tolerance to the other, to the different.
Yeah.
Because sometimes so many things, we all sin with that. We think, oh, we know it better. I know it better than you. I have it right more than you. My belief is probably better for whatever you believe. But just the tolerance to the other, to the exceptional. When he says love your enemy, give your other cheek, he doesn't mean literally in a sense of, oh, someone is coming to murder you. just
Let it
murder
happen.
you. That's not the idea. Don't get that wrong. The Torah says, whoever comes to kill you, you should defend yourself and kill him. That is not the idea. And by the way, many Jewish rabbis went against that idea, that concept of, it's not putting your throat for someone to slaughter you. That's not the idea. The idea is even if someone did bad to you, always give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he had the good intention. And many times we do find that. But just if we tolerate the other, the exceptional, the different, all the world will be different. We always think that if it's a religious thing, a race thing, a gender thing, so many things,
Gosh.
God created us in his image. And this message is just to tolerate and to be equal with everybody. There's no difference of status, of religion, of race, of gender, of anything. To have this humility to say we're all created in his image, and if we all understand that, everything will be perfect. And when people start to interpret and build a race theory that we're going to see on Wednesday in Yad Vashem, look where it led the world to.
Yeah.
Sort of ruling out someone else's legitimacy to live and murdering them. Happens all the time. I think that is the message, just to the full tolerance of somebody else. And remember that we talked about it also on the bus. And he came to the Rabbi Akiva, which lived about 100 years after Jesus. Doesn't teach me the entire Torah standing on one leg. You should love your neighbor like you love yourself. This is it. All the rest is commentary. So this is the Beatitudes. And you notice also that nothing in these Beatitudes talks about God. It talks about how you behave to each other. There's nothing there about how you should worship God.
So true.
Everything in these 8 Beatitudes and everything in the Torah is about how, first of all, you treat each other, because that's what God cares.
And that's loving God.
And that's loving God.
Yep. Yep.
So this is the message.
That's so awesome. Good stuff.
We're going to call back our chariot. I'm going to call Carol to pick us up.
Hopefully no fire involved.